There cannot be more than one noumenal cause. The supreme noumenal entity is a singular one. So the conception of so many gods, so many goddesses, so many ghosts are all based on defective ideas. The Supreme Father, the noumenal entity, is a singular entity, and that noumenal entity is the loving Father. One's relationship with the loving Father is that of love and affection, is a domestic relationship. There is nothing formal or nothing sort of formality in it. The relationship is purely domestic, a family relationship. So the noumenal cause is not just a theoretical entity, it is your Father, your dearest and nearest one. And one should not be afraid of God, one should not be God-fearing, one must be God-loving. One should not be afraid of hell, and one must not have any charm or fascination for the so-called heaven. One must know that one has come from that supreme progenitor, and one's culminating point of all sorts of marches, all sorts of movements, is that Supreme Father. Everything cometh from Him and goeth back to Him. The relationship is that of love and affection and not of any fear complex. One must not say, "Oh God, I am a sinner." You need not say like this. It is superfluous to say like this, because whatever you did is known to Him. Then what's the necessity of saying, "Oh God, I am a sinner"? He knows everything. You need not remind Him that you are a sinner. And you know, if you always think like that, "I am a sinner, I am a sinner," and actually you will become a sinner if you are not a sinner. Because what a man thinks, he becomes like that. If you always think like, "I am a sinner, I am a sinner," then actually you will become a sinner. So what you are to think, what you are to ideate upon, that is, "Oh Father, I am your loving son. I was a bit misguided. Now please help me. And I want to sit upon your lap. I want to remain with you. I want to be an ideal boy, an ideal girl of yours. Just help me. I am very weak and you are the strongest personality." You should say like this. Why should you say, "I am a culprit, I am a sinner, I am a bad man"? And you may be in the social sphere, in any other sphere, in civic sphere, in any other sphere of the society. You may be a bad man, you may be a bad girl, but for your Father you are not at all bad. He will always try to save you and always try to rectify you. He has got immense grace for you. So you should not destroy or distort your career by saying that, "I am a sinner, I am a bad man." Then naturally Father will be angry. He will say, "Oh, naughty chap, I know you are a sinner. What's the necessity of saying like this?" So you should remember the noumenal cause, although it is the supreme entity in the entire universe, but it has got a very close relationship with you. That supreme noumenal entity is your loving Father, and He is not the judge of a court. He is your loving Father. The relationship is purely domestic. Now, when one is ensconced in this supreme stance or supreme idea, one will be successful in each and every arena of human life. Whatever he will do, suppose he is doing some social service, he is rendering some social service, his service will be beautiful and he will get immense pleasure in it. But if there is no love for the Supreme Entity, then what will happen? Your work will be fruitless and you will suffer from different kinds of psychic diseases, including frustration. If you do your sadhana for 10 or 20 or 24 hours in a day, but there is no love for the Supreme Entity, you are simply what? Misusing the time, abusing the time. So the first and foremost thing is that you should always remember that you are not an ordinary man. You do not come from an ordinary family. You come from the noblest and highest family of the universe, because your father is the most respectable person in the entire universe. So you must not suffer from any sort of defeatist complex, any sort of fear complex, and any sort of hopelessness or helplessness, because your Father is always with you. You know, the Supreme Noumenal Entity maintains the closest relationship with all other apparent noumenal entities, so-called noumenal entities. And those so-called noumenal entities maintain link with each and every expression of this universe. This indirect link of the noumenal entity is called Pruta Yoga in Sanskrit. That is, whatever you are doing is indirectly known to him through your direct noumenal entity. And not only that, he keeps direct relationship with you also. Today we will decorate the hall in a very nice way, as is done in case of DMC. And when Baba will see these things, he will say, let there be DMC. See, these things have got direct reflection on the what? Not on your apparent noumenal entity, but directly on the Supreme Hub, directly on the Supreme Noumenal Entity. And he will say, let me satisfy those little boys and girls by declaring a subject of discourse. The link, you see, one indirect link with each and every entity through so many noumenal entities, another direct link with each and every individual, from a mammoth to a blade of grass. So a mammoth cannot move without his grace, and a blade of grass also cannot move without his approval. And this shows that he maintains link with each and every entity. Nobody is unimportant. Nobody is insignificant. Each and every existence is valuable. And say old widow of say 100 years old, her life is also not meaningless. Her existence also bears certain significance. If an ordinary ant dies a premature death, the equilibrium of the entire universe will be lost. Nobody is unimportant. So you must not develop the psychology of hopelessness or helplessness or defeatist complex or fear complex, because the Supreme Father, the Supreme Noumenal Entity is always with you, and that link with individual is known as his Uta Yoga. In case of collectivity, Prota Yoga, and in case of individual is Uta Yoga. So his link with you is always both Pruta and Uta. You are never alone. And your only goal is that noumenal entity, is that Parama Purusha, and no number 2, number 3 or number 4 gods or goddesses. The singular entity, the God of all gods.